Hey, welcome and introduce our next President of the United States. Lorraine
Thank you, guys. Good to see you 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 guys. USA. USA. Good to see you. Good to see you. USA. USA. Love this. How old is this young woman here? 9? Love this 9-year-old, her energy. I love that. Good to see you guys here. I'll tell you about what we're going to do here. My parents came to this country 40 years ago with no money in search of opportunity. And in a single generation, I have gone on to found multiple successful companies. Did it while marrying my wife, Apurva, who is a throat surgeon saving lives at the Cancer Hospital at Ohio State. That's where she is today. She's going to be a badass first lady. She's going to do a good job. Set a good example for this country, raising our 2 sons, following our faith in God. That's the American dream. And I'm worried that American dream isn't going to exist for our kids and their generation unless we step up and do something about it. And I'll get to the punchline of why I'm in this race. He asked me a year and a half ago, would I be running for U.S. president? I would have said, that sounds worse than a sharp poke in the eye. You're crazy. I'm running businesses. We're living a life that's one that my parents could have never imagined when my dad was facing layoffs at the GE plant in Evendale, Ohio when we were growing up. They would have never imagined this country, what it's given us. But I'm in this because I saw that red wave that never came last year. And I see a Republican Party that has grown lazy. Let's call it out for what it is. I don't just mean lazy in the get out the vote operation sense of lazy. I mean lazy in a deeper sense of defining who we are and what we even stand for. See, the left, they're very good at this. They will give you a vision. It's not the right vision, but they'll give you a vision. Race, gender, sexuality, climate. And we're sitting here just complaining about that vision without offering an alternative vision of our own, of what we actually stand for. Individual, family, nation, God. That beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate if we have the courage to actually stand for something. We're not just in this to run from something. I'm in this race to lead us to something. To our vision of what it means to be an American. What it means to be a citizen of this nation in the year 2024. And to me, it means we believe in the ideals of 1776. Ideals like meritocracy and the pursuit of excellence. That you get ahead in this country not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. That's why we'll end affirmative action and group quota systems in every area of American life. It's been a cancer on our national soul, and we are done with it. It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will use our own military to secure our own southern border and our northern border too. That's what it means to stand for the rule of law in the United States of America. It means that we, the people, create a government that is accountable to us, not the other way around. That the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government. Not the shadow government and the deep state that's pulling the strings today. If there's one thing I get done as your next president, if there's one war that I wage, it's not going to be sending $200 billion of our money so some kleptocrat in Ukraine can buy a bigger house. Not some pointless foreign war. Iraq 2.0. Your generation, we're not going to send you to fight somebody else's war. That's my job. But we also want to actually do this right. The war I will wage is the war on our own shadow government in the United States. Shut down government agencies that should not exist. FBI, ATF, CDC, U.S. Department of Education. Get in there and shut it down. 75% reduction in the number of federal bureaucrats by the end of my first term. We'll get half of that done in the first month. 8-year term limits for every federal bureaucrat. If I can't work for you for more than 8 years, neither should those bureaucrats reporting into me either. Zero-based budgeting. Don't start with last year's budget as the baseline. Start with zero as the baseline and ask what's necessary. That's how I ran my businesses. That's how most CEOs run their businesses. That's how we need to run the federal government in the United States. This shouldn't be controversial. This is common sense. But I'll admit this. To get there, we do need elections we can trust and believe in. Single-day voting on Election Day as a national holiday with paper ballots, government-issued voter ID to match the voter file, and English as the sole language that appears on a ballot. That's not controversial. That's common sense. These are not black ideas or white ideas. These aren't even really Democrat ideas or Republican ideas. Not really. These are American ideals that we fought a revolution to secure in this country. And I believe, deep in my bones, those ideals still exist. I'm running for president to revive them. You can get the coin, you get the change at the bar on your little coin. You could see it on the back of each of your coins. Be etched into it. It says E pluribus unum. It means from many, one. That's what we've lost in this country. We've been taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways that we're really the same as Americans, bound by that common set of ideals. And here's how we're going to get them back. It's going to be by all of us, not just me, all of us, starting to speak the truth in the open again. Say in public what you will say in private at the dinner table. Say it with a spine. Say it with conviction. Say it with respect. But part of respect is that you respect your neighbor enough to tell him what you actually think. That's what this campaign is about, by the way. Speaking the truth, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Speaking the truth, not just to the Democrats on the other side, but to our own Republican Party when necessary to. The things I'm saying, they're controversial, not because they are false, but because they are true. That God is real. That there are two genders. Never thought I'd have to say that one. That fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. That reverse racism is racism. That an open border is not a border. That parents determine the education of their children. That the nuclear family isn't a bad word. It is the best known form of governance known to mankind. That capitalism is still the best system we have to lift us up from poverty. Not crony capitalism, but the real thing. That there are 3 branches of government in the United States, not 4. And that the U.S. Constitution is the strongest and greatest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is the truth. We fight for the truth. We stand up for the truth. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China, is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about. And that is what we are going to revive to save this great nation. Thank you for coming out today, guys. God bless you and your families. And may God bless our United States of America. We will not stop until we get this job done. We will revive this country. May our best days still be ahead of us. Thank you guys for coming. I want to take a couple questions. Got a couple questions before we rock and roll here.
I don't know if you can hear me.
I'll give you the microphone. Why the heck not?
Who gave the FBI permission to be in Florida when Mar-a-Lago was raided? And how are you prepared to dismantle FBI, CIA?
So there's a plan about shutting down the FBI. Who gave the FBI the permission to do blank? Fill in the blank. You asked about the Mar-a-Lago raid, but you could fill in the blank on anything. It's a good question to ask. But here's the myth we fall into as Republicans sometimes. See, other Republicans will tell you, because the Republican Party permits you to say certain things, but not others. I'm the only candidate in this race who can tell you I'll pardon every peaceful January 6th protester on day one when I'm in office. That Ronna McDaniel needs to step aside. That I'll shut down the FBI. See, others will say, hey, fire Christopher Wray. And that was supposed to be an applause line. Wait for you to applaud and everything. No. I mean, I'm saying that's the way they set it up. But it doesn't work. Because then you get James Comey 2.0. It's a machine. Yeah, an 8-headed hydra, you cut off one head, it grows right back. You got to kill the beast at its core. So I said we will shut down what I call the failed Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. But this isn't a slogan, it's a clear plan. So since you asked about it, I'll give it to you. 35,000 employees at the FBI. 20,000 of them are back office bureaucrats in the J. Edgar Hoover building. That's what they still call it in Washington, D.C. They go home and find honest work in the private sector. 15,000 of them are cops, investigative agents on the front lines. We will move them to agencies that haven't yet been corrupted in the same way, the U.S. Marshals or the DEA, both of which have actually been far better than the FBI in going after child sex trafficking rings, or the fentanyl epidemic, which is affecting young and people old. So that's something that is deeply practical. Does that mean I'm against law enforcement? No, I stand for law enforcement, but we want one standard of the rule of law, with the FBI doing what it's supposed to do, keeping Americans actually safe against the actual threats we face, as opposed to going after parents for being concerned parents as domestic terrorists for school board meetings, or going after people who wear the hat of the wrong presidential candidate to work. For God's sake, Jack Smith's subpoena. You guys know who Jack Smith is? This guy is Trump prosecution stuff. He's subpoenaed anybody who retweeted or even liked a post that Donald Trump made in 2020 for the names of those accounts. And so we have to get in there, and incremental reform, it doesn't work anymore. We have to shut it down. The Department of Education, I'm not going to put Betsy DeVos on top and say reform it. It doesn't work. The $80 billion will go back to parents across this country who deserve to choose where they send their kids to school. Shut it down. That's what we get done as your next president, and that's the way we're going to reform our justice system. Great question, sir. I appreciate it. We'll go right here.
So, 8 million, 10 million, whatever we have, how do you reverse course now?
Illegal migrants you're talking about. Yeah. So, the border crisis is fixable. I'll tell you. And she asked the hard question, but let me get to at least the easier pieces before I get to the hard question. The easier pieces is you turn off the faucet. Stop giving any money to Central America or Mexico until, and every penny we ever do consider giving should only be for building a wall on each of those nations' borders all the way from Venezuela to the northern border of Mexico. That's where they're passing through. Giant caravans and worse. Use our military. Don't station them in places like Germany. I mean, Germany can pay for its own national defense. They don't even spend 2% of their GDP on military expenditures. Forget that. We're going to bring them to our own borders. Protect our borders in this country. Seal that southern border. Now you want to get to the better border policies that the people don't talk about. Stop using our money to fund federal sanctuary cities. Yeah. We shouldn't be paying for breaking the rule of law. Now I go further than some Republicans. I think all the other Republicans running for president. End birthright citizenship for the kids of illegals in this country. It never applied to them. The Constitution says so. Read the 14th Amendment. That's what it says. And I don't need Congress for this. See, they duped... I'm going to go on a digression here for a second. They duped Donald Trump on this and other questions, too, because you need a president who knows the Constitution. They said, oh, you need a constitutional amendment to do that. No, you don't. The 14th Amendment, read it. It says, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That means kid of an illegal migrant in this country does not enjoy birthright citizenship. Now we get to the hard question. What do you do for the millions who are already here? I'm a father of 2 sons. I can't be in the White House and look them in the eye and tell them they have to follow the rules if their own government is not following its own rules. So the only right answer is if you are in this country illegally, we will return you to your country of origin, period. Now, you're asking great questions. I like that. We got to take this on the road. I like this. It's good because how are you actually going to do it? This is, again, where they've duped every other president. There's only 6,000 ICE agents, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents. There are millions here, right? Again, it takes a president who, yes, is an outsider willing to break things. I bring that. Trump brings some element of that. That's about it. The rest are professional politicians. But it takes also an outsider who knows the law and the Constitution so they don't dupe you. Sections in the law right now, I don't need Congress for this. This one's called 287G. It basically allows ICE to delegate their warrant service power to local law enforcement. I've talked to local law enforcement. I could bet your cops in this town would be happy to do it too. It just takes a president who instructs ICE to actually do it. Now you have 1 million law enforcement, and yes, the country that put a man on the moon can then get that done with 1 million people. That's how we drive change in this country. So yes, by March of 2025, I take over in January 2025, March of 2025, our borders are sealed. By the end of 2025, we're mostly through the mass deportations, and we will once again have a rule of law that we respect in the United States of America. Great question. That's time for...
About the media.
Do that with as the U.S. If you put me in that office as your next U.S. president, Article 2 of the Constitution says I run the executive branch. You're darn right I will, and we get that done. You get the final word.
Okay. As president, you will hold the office, the most powerful office in the whole world. Would you speak a little bit about your vision for foreign policy?
Yes.
And also one last little question. The elephant in the room. Why should I caucus for you instead of Donald Trump?
Sure. 2 good questions to close on. Here, just grab that door. Yeah. Come on in. You just grab that door. I want to answer this one so people can... I don't know if people heard her question. I'll repeat it. Foreign policy, I'll give it to you in a nutshell. We could do a whole day on this, but my foreign policy, I'll distill it in a nutshell. Avoid World War III. Declare economic independence from China. We cannot depend on our enemy for our modern way of life. And we have a clear plan we've laid out to do that. And then here's the radical one. Use our own national defense spending to actually defend our own homeland, which is as vulnerable as it's ever been. And I come back to it. Sometimes my role as a father gives me my moral clarity. As a father, my moral obligation is to my family. As your next president, my moral obligation is to you, the citizens of this country, not another one. That Ukraine war does not advance our national interests. I was the first person to say it. That was unfashionable. At the time I started saying this, you weren't even supposed to say this in public. Now the Republican Party, the cows are sort of coming home a little bit. But that's what it's going to take. America first does not come with an asterisk. It's not isolationist. Taiwan is not Ukraine. I think if we depend on Taiwan for semiconductors, that's our modern way of life. China invading is not going to work. I've been clear. We would defend in that scenario. But I look at every conflict through the prism of one answer. What advances the American interest? That is my sole loyalty as your next president. And I'm sorry to report, but it's the truth, that has not been the sole loyalty of the people who have run the foreign policy establishment in both parties for the last 30 years. In the post-Cold War era.
Including Israel?
So Israel, here's the answer on this. Israel's our most important ally in the Middle East. Here's our actual right answer of how we help Israel. Give them the diplomatic support they need. What Hamas did was subhuman and medieval. Israel has the absolute right to defend itself. We give them a diplomatic Iron Dome without the EU or the UN, or frankly, look at what's happening now. The US second-guessing what they're doing. That's better for Israel and better for the United States as opposed to us being half in meddling around militarily. In fact, the most pro-Israel voices in Israel are saying the same thing. So when I said that about 2 months ago, people said, oh, is that an anti-Israel view? No, that's the most pro-Israel view in the race. Now people are coming around to actually see that because the pro-Israel voices are saying, we don't want a small check from America if that requires them being a backseat quarterback. They can get their job done. We have to diplomatically let them do it. That's the answer. So that foreign policy, America first, is better for America and better for our allies. That's the answer to that question. Now, she asked her the final question. Why me and not Trump? And you guys got a decision to make in about 25 days. Let's do some real talk here. I mean, the news I saw as I'm walking in is actually Maine has now, Secretary of State of the state of Maine says they're going to keep him off the ballot. I just want to make this really clear to you. I'm not going to tell you what the mechanism is, but this is the hard truth. They will not let this man get anywhere near the White House again. Do not fall for their trap. They got a man-made pandemic with a big tech rigged election last time around. This time they will stop at nothing, and I mean nothing, to stop this man from getting anywhere near that White House. We will love the man, I do, certainly, because he got the fight started. Many of us do. It is our job to finish it. Our movement, America First, this cannot end with Donald Trump. This is bigger than one man. America First doesn't belong to Trump, just as it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you, to us, to we the people of this country. It didn't start in 2016. It started in 1776. George Washington was the first America First conservative. It is our job. We cannot be the generation, the moment, that squanders what our founding fathers gave us 250 years in. We still have 250 years and more yet to go. But that's our job. They're selling us the rope right now that they will use to hang us tomorrow. Do not fall into their trap. You have the future of America First standing right here. I'm asking you, and I think it's going to take, if you believe with me that we're in a war in this country, and I believe that we are, we're in a war for our continued future existence as a nation, then pick the commander-in-chief who is at least not now wounded in that war. It's about the country. So we respect the man. We do. I will honor his legacy more than anybody else. I'm trying to do what's right at every step. I've said I would remove myself from any state that removes him from that ballot in the GOP primary, because that's how you actually stop this brazen election interference. But if it's not this tactic, it's going to be the next one. Open your eyes. Skate to where the puck is going. And for many of you, I know 6 months ago, maybe even a few months ago, maybe even today, that's where your mind is, understandably. I'm going to ask you to do the thing that's not natural for those of you who thought you were going to vote for Trump because you care about this country and you care about America First. Do not fall for their trap. I said this several days ago. I didn't even expect what happened today. You're just going to see this continue, and it's going to happen in about a few months' time. That's when it's perfectly fallen into the trap. They take him out, and then you're going to get another puppet instead. No. We owe it to our movement and to this country to send somebody with fresh legs, somebody from the next generation to reach and lead this new generation of Americans. And if we do that, if you all do your job on January 15th, that's what I'm asking you for. I promise you, my family and I, my wife Apoorva and I, we will do ours to make sure we're not at the end of the ancient Roman Empire. We're not this nation in decline. We don't have to be. I think the truth is, as a nation right now, and I see a young woman here. What's your name? Lois. As a nation right now, we're really, the way I'd like to see it is a little young, actually. Going through our own version of our rocky adolescence. Figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up in those next 250 years ahead of us. You know what? When you view it that way, I think it makes sense again. You don't have to be stuck in that adolescence. We're stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. So I'm not going to be the person who comes in here and tells you it's morning in America, guys. I love Ronald Reagan. I respect him deeply. But I'm going to respect Reagan by telling you the truth. It's not morning in America right now. But it can be. I'm not going to tell you, the next generation, that the American dream is alive and well right now. It is not. It is alive and hanging on for life support. But it can be. That's why I'm in this race. I see what's before us, but I want to lead us to where we can still have, not in some cheesy politician way, but in a true way, make sure that our best days are actually still ahead of us. That we can look our kids in the eye and tell them and mean it, that the United States of America is still the nation where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, that you will get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that you know what? You are free without fear to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And with your help, in about 20 days, on January 15th, with your help, that is what we are going to revive to save our great nation. Thank you for coming out today, guys. God bless you and your families, and may God bless our United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. Nice. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. How you been?
Good. How are you?
We're counting on you.
Yeah.
Do our part.
You bet.
I think we're going to win this
Yeah,
thing. Thank you
we're
very
gonna
much.
win
I think
this
we're going to win this thing.
We're gonna
Absolutely.
win this thing.
We are going to. With your help, we're going to. Make it
Yeah.
happen, brothers. Good to see you.
see you
It's good to see you again. How you been?
Good.
Good to see you. Good
So
to see you
happy.
guys. Thank you for coming out, man.
Go get him.
Thank you.
Get him.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you being here.
You are
Thank you,
willing to
guys.
be a
Thank you.
precinct captain.
Good to
It's
see
what
you.
you heard
Good to see you.
tonight.
Thank you.
Very good.
It's good to see you. What's your name?
Melanie.
Melanie, it's nice to see you.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
I appreciate you being here. What's your name, man? Todd. Todd? It's good to see you guys. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. What's your name? Judy.
Aaron.
Aaron, it's good to see you, man.
You too. Thank you very much.
Get every generation out.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We're going to do this. I think we're going to be successful. Did you serve, sir?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you serve?
Germany. I was one of those guys that had to sit there with.
Can protect our own border.
That's
Thank you for
right.
saying that. What's your name?
John.
John. We got your back, and as for the veterans, we're going to take care of them.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Spread the message. Thank you.
Hi.
It's good to see you. What's your name?
Gabby.
Gabby. Good to see you. Robert, good to see you, man. You want that? Yeah, absolutely.
Good to see you. Can you sign on the card?
Oh,
Thank you very much.
thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, good to see you, brother. Yes, absolutely. What's your name, man?
Micah.
Mike. I like your.
Is your hand hurt from
Sure.
signing?
Good to see you.
grab a picture? Thank you.
Hey.
Is it on picture? Camera mode?
I'll be the one missing this one.
You got it?
That's okay. He knows how to do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
so much. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
everything. I've been a huge fan since I read your book.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Spread the
Best of
message.
luck.
I think we're going to
Yeah.
do this. I think we're going to do
I think
this.
you're right.
I
Thank
think
you.
we're going to do this, guys. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good seeing you, brother. What's your name? Megan. And what's your name?
It's Meadow.
Meadow. Beautiful name.
Thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
you are, right? Yeah. I appreciate everything you're doing. Meadow, we're doing it. Proud of you. Thank you for coming out, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Spread the message.
Great
Thank
to meet
man.
you.
Good to meet you. Good to meet you, guys. What's your
We
name?
know Simone. I'm Cheryl.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
She's great.
yeah,
She's
she
we've been
is
very
great.
lucky to have her.
Yeah. Can we
Thank
get
you,
a
guys.
picture
Yes.
quick?
Yeah, let's get a quick one before we leave. Thank you, man.
Awesome.
Spread
Thank
the
you so
word,
much.
all right?
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. They're going to
Right
drag you
here's
out.
the
Thank you.
picture.
Oh, God. Good. How old is this?
4 months.
4 months. Congratulations, guys. Very happy for you. Oh my God, thank you for it's so cute.
It's his first president.
Jude? Jude, beautiful name. Thank you guys. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Bring people out to the caucus. That's what I'll ask for. Thank you guys. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Take care, guys. Thank
luck
you.
to you.
Thank you guys. We'll see you guys. I love it. We'll see you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys. USA.
Does do your TikToks every day.
USA. 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 Thank you, man. I appreciate
love
that.
your message.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Hey.
We gotta go.
It's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you.
I'm proud of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We
Thank
gotta
you.
go.
We're dragging out. Next stop. Next stop. Next stop. Next stop. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Be a good one. Good keeper. The next shot. There you go.
You
Thank
had
you
to
so
change your
much.
mind.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it.
Spread the message.
From Texas, we would never get